So my name is Craig Ullmann. I'm a civil engineer, and I actually do work as a water resource engineer within civil engineering. And Anya is going to ask me a little bit about my job.
What education, training, or certification does your job require?
Well, first I finished high school, and then I went to college at CSU, and I got a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. And then I decided to stick around a little longer and got a master's degree in hydraulics, which is also part of civil engineering. And then after I got out of school, after you work 4 years as an engineer, you get to sit down and take an 8-hour long test and try to earn what they call your professional engineer's license. So that's the list of the training. Other skills that you just need to have that come in handy are math and science, obviously. And also writing is huge. Trying to communicate technical subjects to various groups of people is a good skill to have. Verbal skills and people skills, being able to talk to other people and help them understand what you're doing and why you're doing it is important. And just the interest to constantly be learning, the ability to teach yourself new things.
Do you work by yourself or with others?
Well, I work for a small company named Applegate Group, and we have 15 employees. We only have 2 here in Hotchkiss, so it's me and one other person in the office here, but I'm on the phone a lot with people in our other offices in Glenwood Springs and Denver. So I also spend a lot of time working with clients and landowners, government agencies, and all sorts of people that are involved with our projects. So.
Do you work indoors or outdoors?
Mostly indoors. A lot of our work is done either on a computer, a phone, or in the office. But I do get out of the office sometimes. Sometimes we're collecting information for design purposes, meeting with landowners, learning more about their current system, maybe of irrigation and things like that. And then also when our projects go to construction, we get to spend time outside observing the construction and making sure it's going according to plan.
Do you travel?
A little bit, but not too much. Most of my projects are all confined to western Colorado. So I do travel a little bit as far north as Steamboat and down into Cortez area a little bit, but most of it's within about an hour of Hotchkiss.
Why did you choose this job?
Well, originally my dad was an engineer, and I liked math and science, so I didn't know what else to do at college, so I decided to do engineering. And after a year, I was just about ready to quit. But then I took a water class, and I decided I liked that, and I ended up working at the Engineering Research Center at CSU in the hydraulics lab, where we got to do a lot of cool things with water. And I really liked that, so then I decided to stick with it and do water. I also just always enjoyed math and science and building things at home, Legos and things like that. So engineering seemed to suit me well.
How many years have you had this job?
Almost 21 years. I graduated with my master's degree in 2000 and went to work for Applegate. After 6 years, I decided to move to the West Slope, and Applegate let me move there by myself and start a small office in Glenwood Springs. And then in 2015, we moved to Hotchkiss, and I started a small office in Hotchkiss. And then in 2018, I became an owner in the company. So I've been at the same place for 21 years doing water.
Could you describe your typical day?
Yeah, I mean, typically I start in the morning just trying to go through a list of my priorities for the day, figuring out what actually has to be done for the day. I will typically spend 1 to 2 hours a day answering emails and on the phone, just coordinating things and checking in on status of projects and asking questions of people, answering questions that they have. We work on a lot of different things. We work on studies for new projects involving reservoirs and irrigation canals, river diversions. We've gotten to do a couple fish passage structures, which have been fun. Basically, people with water are trying to figure out how to do more with less, especially in the West where water is so scarce. So we're trying to help a lot of people figure out how to do that. I also work throughout the day preparing design drawings and specifications. So for a project, we'll usually have a the plans, which show pictures of how to build a project, but then there's the specifications, which tell things that are important too, like what type of pipe is required and all sorts of other details that you don't put on the plans. So we have to do those. Sometimes we have to prepare design reports for state agencies to review prior to our projects being approved. We have to help clients with contract documents when they hire contractors. We help them with bidding processes when they go get pricing from contractors. We do a lot of meetings with different people with some of the projects we have. And there's always preparing proposals for new projects too.
What do you like most about your job?
I like that I work for a small company most of all, in that allows me to be involved in all aspects of a project. So we get to do a lot of our projects from start to finish. Versus big companies, a lot of the engineers I know that work there, they do one small task many times over for a lot of different projects, but they don't get to work on the whole project. They're just given a little piece of a project. I also just like it because then, since I'm doing so much work on one project, I get to know my clients pretty well. I've known some of my clients for over 20 years now, and they've become friends of mine. I like the flexibility that I have with working at a small company. If I need to take a day off, it's usually not too bad to do that, and I can take some time off during the day if I have to and work later at night if I need to, but it is relatively flexible. Engineers too can work almost anywhere. Just about everywhere uses engineers. I mean, I'm a water engineer, but there's all kinds of other engineers. There's engineers that design buildings, there's engineers that do highways, and these things are all over the country. So really it's almost like a teacher. You can pretty much find a job in just about any city. And I also like the creativity part. I like trying to find efficient solutions to problems, especially difficult problems I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over. So I like finding unique projects. Some things we've done recently that are kind of unique. We hired a company to do a drone survey. They used a drone, a 5-foot diameter drone, to do a topography survey of 15 miles of irrigation canal near Crawford. And then we also recently built our own inspection camera for doing inspecting dam outlets, and we just used a GoPro and figured out how to build a camera that we could push up the outlet pipe to gather pictures basically on the inside to tell us how old and what the pipe looks like on the inside.
What is your schedule like?
I typically do work for about 40 to 45 hours a week. It is Monday through Friday most of the time. I have occasionally had to work Saturday, but mainly that's 1 or 2 days a year. And sometimes I have to work a little bit at night, but it's usually during the day, kind of between 8 and 5. So that's it. Thanks.